Chodesh Tov. Good evening. Let's get started. So we're going to talk about the rebellion of Korach. The rebellion of Korach, as we said, we mentioned already twice this, right, regarding the parasha of the book of Bamidbar. It's basically, as we said, all political entanglements here, right? So we're continuing with that theme here also as well. What does that mean? That Korach was looking for a political job, basically, political to advance politically, and he wasn't satisfied with the appointment that he got where he was politically. So what was the problem? The problem was like this, right? That there was one of the sons of Levi, right? Kehat. Okay, Korach was a Levi. So Kehat had also 4 sons himself, right? And the first one was Amram. The first son of Kehat was Amram. Then was Itzhar, right? And then there was Uziel, like this, right? So what happened was that Korach said in his mind like this. Korach said, listen, when it comes to, okay, I understand. Kehat had a few sons. Okay, fine. So the first one was Amram, and Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron were the sons of Amram. So it's proper that they took the job of the king and the Kohen Gadol, because this was the firstborn. You understand? So okay, fine. They took, but they said, you know what? When he appointed the Nasi of Bnei Kehat, of the sons of Kehat, he skipped over. He skipped over Itzhar, who was the father of Korach, right? And he skipped over and he went to Uziel, the third one, and he appointed somebody over there. So Korach said, "Wait a second, this was not the right thing to do, because he was supposed to appoint me. Why? Because I'm the second son, right? I'm from the second son of the sons of Kehat, Itzhar. So I should be appointed to be the president of Bnei Itzhar, of the sons of Itzhar. This was the whole thing, But he says instead of appointing me, he appointed one of the sons of the third one, Uziel, right? Elisaphan ben Uziel. And this was a mistake, he skipped over me. I had priority over there. I should have been appointed. This was his whole idea, So therefore he said, listen, we got to do something about this. You know what I mean? I've been got a raw deal over here. Got a raw deal. It's not nice. I didn't get the appointment that I deserve. What was the mistake, by the way, that he said this claim in his mind? The mistake was that all the appointments that Moshe Rabbeinu did were from Hashem. He didn't do it from his own mind. Hashem would tell him, appoint this guy, appoint that guy, appoint this guy. Whoever was told by Hashem, he did it. He was like a robot. He wasn't doing anything from his own volition. So what do you want from me? So I'm just doing God's will over here. I'm a prophet, for God's sakes. What do you want me to do? You want to play politics? Some kind of a political game? I'm not interested in political games. Whatever Hashem tells me to do, I do it. Right? That was the whole thing. But Korach was thinking everything. Politics. How do I get appointed? I deserve it. It's my right. It's my privilege. Blah blah blah. I'm the one who's supposed to get that. The truth is, right, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't see, when he appoints people for leadership in the Jewish people, he doesn't see what we see. We look at the outside of the person, the exterior, how he looks, tall, handsome guy, good looking, very impressive, imposing countenance he has, on his face. We look at these things. HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks inside the heart, to see what's inside there. He doesn't care about these things. What does he care about this guy if he's tall or he's handsome, whatever, Well, because he's tall and handsome is going to make him into a good leader? Could be a gangster, this guy, could be a dangerous guy. Who cares about that? HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't look at the external, he looks in the internal. You know what I mean? So therefore, Korach should have known, he should have been wise enough to understand that if Moshe Rabbeinu appointed who he appointed, and it wasn't him, there was a reason for that. Obviously he was skipped over because of his bad character. That was the whole thing, right? And by the way, here he proved that he had a bad character. That was the whole thing, right? How did he prove he had a bad character? By rebelling. This is the idea. They say, by the way, that now let's give you a little bit of background over here about Korach. When a person starts to desire political power, usually that stems from one particular quality that a person has. You know what that is? It's not the horoscope, right? The zodiac. We're not talking about that. People always talk to me about this. You're a Virgo, you're a Lion, you're a Libra. Who cares about these things? The Jewish people are above Mazal. You know what I mean? We're not bound by that. So wherever you were born as a zodiac, this and that doesn't make you into anything, particular in Jewish people. Jewish people can be whatever they want. They have free choice. They have free will. They're not bound by the mazalot. So, happened was like this, right? That Korach had that one quality that a person needs in order to desire political power. You know what that is? He was wealthy. Right? They say that when you get wealthy, the next step is you want power. You know, we talked about that, right? The skit that you did, right? Last week, right? Yeah, yeah, right. The skit, right? That's the idea, you know. So when a person gets money, next step is he wants power. It's a natural thing. He wants to become president now, all kinds of things. So Korach, they say, right? He got very wealthy. Now the question is like this, right? Okay, fine, he got very wealthy, but they were all wealthy over there. These Jews, they all got wealthy. How is that? Because the Egyptians, when they let them go, they gave them a big dowry over there. You know, a big allowance. They gave them everything. They took everything from there. Right? They emptied out. They gave them all in their own will. But the truth is, right? Whatever they didn't give them in their own will, they got it anyway because when they came out to the sea to try to drown them there, you know, so they got everything there. Everything was given to them. Hashem gave them everything by drowning them. So in the end, they got the whole wealth of Mitzrayim. Everything. Nothing was left over there. You know, they left it like an empty, empty vault, with nothing inside. That was the idea, They emptied out the whole country. Why is that? Because of the slavery that they had for 400 years. They had to get their wages. So that's why Kadosh Baruch Hu. We in the end, Kadosh Baruch Hu made sure we got paid. The person has to get paid. You do a job, you got paid. 400 years you're working. It wasn't 400, it was 210 years. You're working for 210 years. Got to get your wages. Reparations. That's what they call it, right? Reparations.
So the black people are right.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting idea. They can talk about that in Congress. The entertain idea. I'm not going to say anything right about that. But what I'm saying is like this, right? That Kadosh Baruch Hu made sure that we got our money. What does that mean? When Hashem, see, the problem is like this, right? When you talk about Congress has no way to calculate how much money we owe these people. Whatever.
We owe them nothing.
But see, right? Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
I was in Russia when this. I was in Poland.
Right. This is the problem. We don't really have no way to calculate that because it has to be accountability according to what? According to who? According to what? What? We were the ones who enslaved them. We were not. You understand?
Not only that, the people that God supposedly rewarded the money to, that got away from the Egyptians.
Yeah.
They actually were the ones working for that money.
Right. Yeah. They were the ones.
These people are fourth generation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
What happened to their great grandfathers? I don't know.
Okay, it's an interesting idea.
Then we should also get reparations from somebody. At one point, we were enslaved too, or
right.
Oppressed.
The truth is that they did pay reparations for the Holocaust. They paid. Yeah, they paid. They're still paying. Those reparations. Okay, whatever. We can talk about that forever. We can talk about that forever because they confiscated property also. In the Holocaust, they took their land.
But that's only 70, 80 years old.
Yeah, whatever, but the point is like this, right? That we don't know how to calculate this because we have no measure. We have no way to measure it.
Yeah.
But who's the only one who knows? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's the one, Hashem, he's the only one who knows. He knows how many hours this guy worked. You know what I mean? He pays him exactly the hours that he worked. How do we know that? We have no way to know. You know what I mean? What kind of wage does he deserve? Whatever. Hashem knows how to calculate all these things. We don't have to calculate these things. We don't know nothing about that. Yep. So we have no way to we can all make some kind of symbolic thing, whatever, something symbolic we can do maybe. That's about it. But we cannot really do an accurate account of what we owe anybody, right, or whatever. So there's no way for us to do that. It's not humanly possible. But when it comes, right, when it comes, so what happened was that they all got rich. All the Jews were rich when they came out of there. So. But Korach was more rich than everybody else, right? That's the whole thing, right? There's rich and there's filthy rich. You know what I mean? There's like,
wealthy rich.
You know what I mean? Forget about it, right? There's millionaires, there's billionaires, right? There's something else. Two different. He was not a millionaire. He was a billionaire. Korach. You understand? So the question is, how did he become so wealthy? So they say that when Yosef HaTzadik was in Mitzrayim, he was the king over there. So what happened was that because he got so much wealth from the whole world, when they were coming to buy grain, that was the only source to buy grain at that time, right? It was a breadbasket of the whole world at that time. So what happened was that they bought grain, and he got so much money from those sales that he did, right? There was just money left over. You couldn't even count the money. It was so great. There was no way to count the money. It was such a great treasure, And in those days, money was not paper. It was like gold and silver. You know what I mean? Like real cash, real assets. Fort Knox, Fort Knox style. So what happened was that Yosef HaTzadik, because he had such a great deal of money, he didn't even know what to do with it anymore. I mean, nobody could use this money. It's just not possible to use it in one lifetime. Whatever you do, it's just too much. Can you imagine having such wealth like this? So what did he do? He decided to put like a stash, So he did 3 stashes that they say, right? Three places he tried to stash treasure because of the overabundance of cash that he had. So they say, right, that these 3 stashes were found. 2 of them were already found. One is already still not found. Interesting, right? The Midrash tells us. So which 2 were found? They say one of the stashes were found by Korach. He found one of them. Can you imagine? 1/3 of that big amount of money. We're talking about like billions and zillions, trillions and zillions. No end to it, right? So Korach found that treasure. Can you imagine? Stumbled onto it somehow. Lucky guy, Lucky you,
It was God's will.
Yeah. So he found it. He found that money because they were in Mitzrayim. You understand? That's where he stashed it. That was the whole thing, and he took it with him. So he was much, much wealthier than everybody else. The second one, they say, was found by who? By the Romans. The Romans found the number 2, stashed number 2, and that's why the Romans are such wealthy people. Until this day, right? Where's the wealthiest places in the world? Europe and America. Nobody has cash like that. This is the Romans. This is the Roman Empire. For better or for worse, right? Whatever. We're not going to get into that now, but that's not the issue. But since the Romans found that stash 1/3, they became the wealthiest nation in the world. That's nobody could compare to them. This was the reason why. They say number 3 is still not found, right? When is it going to be found? When Mashiach comes, right? Who is that going to be for? It's going to be for the Talmidei Chachamim who were sitting and learning in poverty, with no money, no income, giving up their jobs, giving up everything to acquire Torah. It's going to be for them. That's what what I'm saying. Nice reward for those people who give up all their material right life in this world. Kadosh Baruch Hu will repay everybody. He doesn't. So that's the Hashem doesn't forget anybody. Understand? Whoever does what he does, he makes sacrifices for the sake of God. Hashem will repay him in the end. Nothing gets left unpaid. Everything is restituted. That's the way it is. So fine. So what happens like this, right? Korach now, because of his great wealth, what happened was that now he wants power. He's hungry for power because you know what it is, right? The wealth, it builds the ego. It has it's connected with one or the other. When you get wealthy, your ego goes up. You become like, you think of yourself, man. I'm God's gift to humanity. You see like these people, how they behave. This guy from Starbucks, all of a sudden thinks he's president. What makes you the president? Because you sold a lot of coffee. Okay, very nice. He's a wealthy guy. He thinks he's president. Presidential material because he sold a lot of coffee. Okay, very nice. That's the way it is. It's a natural thing. Same thing with this guy, right? Bloomberg. Made a lot of money. All of a sudden, he thinks he's president. He's mayor, he's president, this and that. It's all about money. They say, by the way, when it comes to political power, it's all about money. You have to have cash. A lot of cash reserves. And then you have that power to go and to acquire power, the political power. That's the way it is, right? So, by the way, same thing happened. There's a sad story that you guys know about this. There was this Georgian guy, recently. We're talking about like 20 years ago, and his name was Badri. You know what I'm talking about? Badri. Batak Tatsishvili. You know what I'm talking about, right? You met this guy before?
Yeah.
You met him? Where'd you meet him?
1995 in Moscow.
Nice. Okay. Anyway, so this guy became like a billionaire. He was one of the.
He was not a billionaire.
Right. At that time. Okay. He became a billionaire. He went together with that Russian guy. What's his name? Right. You know what I'm talking about, right? So they made like a lot of big fortune or whatever they call him. Right. He was one of the oligarchs of Russia. Right. So what happened was that he got on the bad side of some people in Russia. So he left there. He had to run because Putin was on his back. He probably was about to do something to him. Whatever. They ran off. Both of them ran off. So this guy Badri, he in Georgia, he told him like this, he went to Georgia. The one time he was there, he told him, I want to be president of Georgia. He goes to the people over there, I want to run for president. So what business do you have to being president? Because he made a lot of money. He feels now his ego, his ego is high. We're standing on a high. So they told him like this. You know what they told him, this guy? They said, listen, excuse us, but you're Jewish, we're a Christian country. You know what I mean? We're the minority, you're a minority. You're a small minority. Most of the Jews already left this country. You can't be president of the country. It has to be somebody who's a majority.
Right?
Right? Right. Interesting, right? So you know the story. So what happened was that So what happened was that they told him like this. They said, listen, we can't make you the president. Like you're trying to overreach. You're overreaching. Excuse us, but we have nothing against you, but you're just a small minority in our country. How many Jews are over there? 10,000 maybe. It's a very small amount of Jews now left over there. You can even less, right? Even less maybe. Yeah, even less. You can hardly fill a shul. Okay, whatever. Okay, giving you a round number, right? Whatever, right? So they told him, if you want, we'll make you prime minister, which is number two. So make you prime minister. It sounds good, no? So he says, no, I don't want that.
It's very,
right? They said, no, I want to be president. I'm sorry, that's my right to run as president. It's a democratic country. What do you want from me? That's the idea, Technically speaking, he was right, but you know why? So what happened? Because they say, right, he paid with his life on that. They assassinated him.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know who did it, right? Some say it was Putin, some say it was Saakashvili. I don't know who. Whatever it was, right? I don't know. God knows what, right? Only God knows, right? Whoever it was, they got to him. They know how to get to these people. Believe me. So the point is, Rabbi, that we see from there that always it's some money, that causes a person to have all these kinds of delusions about what he's supposed to be and what kind of position he's supposed to have. That's the way it is. That's the way this world works. This is the reason why, by the way, that the Malchut, right, the kingdom of Israel, is represented in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Mishkan, by the table, the Shulchan, right? Why is that? The Shulchan represents wealth. It's a representation of wealth. Why is that? Because over there's the showbread, the bread. So bread is like, material wealth. So the Shulchan was a symbol of the kingdom. So also we see from there, kingdom requires cash. That's the way it is, right? No money. No, you can. If you wanna play, you gotta pay. Right? That's the only way. Right? That's it. That's the idea. You understand? That's the whole idea. So this is one of the reasons why Korach, right, had these ambitions all of a sudden, to grab more power and all kinds of things like this. They say, by the way, there's also something here, an interesting angle about Korach, which is that this name Korach, right? Now, if you think about this for a second, what does the word Korach mean in Hebrew? You know what it means, Korach? It means bold. Boldness, right? Bold. Korach means bold person. Korach is bold. So what kind of name is like this? What kind of name you put a person like Korach like this? What kind of name is this? So they say the truth is, right, that his name caused him this downfall. The fact that they named him this name, Korach, right? So what's the reason why? Not because it's bold, right? It has nothing to do with being bold. But the problem was that this name Korach, somebody already had this name before. You know who it was? One of the kings of Esav, of Edom, was called Korach. So they say that you should never call your child, don't ever call your children after a Rasha. So all the kings of Edom, obviously they were Rashaim. So therefore they say that because they called him this name Korach, this is one of the things that caused them to be a Rasha, to be a wicked person. They say that the name causes a person to changes his character. It alters his character. This is the idea. I wanted to tell you now the story that we were talking about, right, regarding that. So the Gemara talks about this amazing quality that the name causes a change in the character of the person. What does that mean? That if you hear a person who has a bad name, they say in the Gemara, we're going to learn this Gemara now. You can be choshesh. You can be, you can be suspicious that this person is not a good person if he has a bad name. You know what I mean? That also sets off some kind of, should trigger something in your mind that this person is not a good person. So what's the story over there, right? Brings down a story in the Gemara. Where is this? In Masechet Yoma. It says over there was a story where Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yosef, they were going on the road. They used to travel place to place. They used to go around, do all kinds of things, give lectures over there and teach Torah and do bet din. They used to also do judgment. They used to judge all kinds of things. So what happened was that they went to one night. They were traveling, and they had to stay at a hotel. You know how it is, right? You guys stop off sometime. Can't make it right to your destination. Stop off at a motel somewhere. They stopped off. So what happened was, right, that the innkeeper over there, the manager of the hotel, right, the head honcho over there, they came to him and they said, "Excuse me, sir, can we stay here tonight? You have a vacancy?" So yeah, no problem. I have vacancy for you guys. Come in, enjoy yourself. Gula dasulu. Everything's gonna be good. So one of the rabbis, right, asked this man, who was that? Rabbi Meir, right? He asked him. He says, "Excuse me, sir. What's your name?" So it says, "Oh, my name is Kidor, Kidor." Right? So Rabbi Meir, he said, "Oh my God, right away he caught the bad name. Why is this name bad? By the way, what does the word kadur mean in Hebrew? You know what it means? It means a ball.
Right.
Kadur means ball,
Right.
right? Right?
Yeah.
Kadur regal means like soccer, whatever, kadur sal, basketball, whatever, all these things. So kidur is like a person, you think he's like a ball, whatever, but that's not what it's talking about. So Rabbi Meir right away caught that this guy was a Rasha by his name, right? Why is that? Because there's a pasuk, right, in the Chumash, in the end of the Chumash, in Hazinu, it says over there, Kidor tapuchot hema, right? What does that mean? That Kidor, it means it's a generation tapuchot, twisted people, crooked people. They're crooked people. That's what it says about this generation. So it says Kidor. It says, you see, this guy's name is Kidor. So this must be a Rasha. Rasha Chiario, So what happened was, right, that Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yosef didn't hold by this. They were not concerned by names. Rabbi Meir was very adamant about that. Name is very, very important. They didn't notice anything. These other two rabbis, they went about their business like nothing happened. Right, ignored it. So what happened was, right, that now that you know what it is, right? When you go to a hotel, you always have like a safe over there. You keep your stuff there, your valuables. They put your valuables in a safe. Some places have a safe in the room. Some places have a general safe for the whole hotel, whatever. So this guy comes to them. He says, you guys have some cash. Just have a safe over here. I'll hold it for you. So what happened was that, right, Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Yehuda, they trusted him because they were not concerned about his name. They didn't notice that. So they gave him, some their cash. They said, okay, hold on to it. When we leave, we get it back, right? Yeah, sure, no problem. You get your money back. Everything is safe by me. Don't worry. Guaranteed your money back. Very nice. Rabbi Meir, right? Because he caught on to that name, he refused to give them money, right? He says, "Excuse me, it's okay, my friend. I'll guard it myself. Thanks a lot." Yeah, he didn't trust them. Okay. So what happened was, right, that once he took the money, Rabbi Meir, right, he went to the grave of that person's father, and he stashed the money over there. That person had a father who was dead. He went to the cemetery, Rabbi Meir. He knew how to pull these tricks. These rabbis were very smart. Right? I wish we had wisdom like this, right? So what happened was that he goes over there to the grave, right on top of the tombstone. He places the money there. So people don't go to the graveyard at night. They're scared. So he felt it was safe. Just leave it there. Whatever. Interesting, right? So that night comes to him, right, in a dream. The father of this guy comes to him in a dream, right? This Rasha, and he says, "You know what?" He says, "This rabbi came and left money over here." He says, "Come and take it." He says, "I want you to have it." Can you imagine?
So the father came to his son.
Right. So he says, but he didn't tell him who left the money there. He says, "There's money over here. Come take it." He told him in a dream. So this guy, right, comes to the rabbis, and he asked them. He says, "Excuse me." He says, "Rabbis, I know you guys know about dreams, you rabbis." So he tells him. He says, "Tell me, my father came to me in a dream, and he said there's money by his grave." He says, "Should I go and check over there to see if there's?" So So Rabbi Meir, right, knew what was going on. You know what I mean? He was the one who left the money there. So he tells this guy, says, says, this dream is just a fake. It's fake. It's fake news. So he asked him, he says, how do you know it's fake? What? Some dreams are real, no? So he tells him, yeah, but he says, since it was on Shabbat, this happened on Shabbat, this whole thing, right? So they say, since it was Shabbat, right? Dreams that come on Shabbat are usually fake dreams. They're not real. They're just to give you some pleasure, Oneg Shabbat, whatever. They're not real. He was faking him out, this guy. It wasn't true what he said, but he knew what was going on, right? So therefore, what he did was right in the morning. Once the sun came up, he went to guard the money over there, just in case he comes, because he told him not to go. But he said, who knows, maybe he won't listen to us, So he went to Rabbi Meir and guarded the money there. Right? Yeah, he didn't touch the money. You're not allowed to touch it, right? But he guarded it. So what happened was, right, that after Shabbat finishes, now the rabbis are going on their way, going to go home, right? So they go to the innkeeper, this guy Kidur, and they tell him, they said, okay, give us back our money, we left in a safe, your deposit. So he says, what deposit? I said, I don't remember anything like that. What are you guys talking about? What, you guys are making up stories? You didn't deposit nothing by me. Yeah? So these rabbis were in shock, this was like a lot of money. They lost a lot of money. So what happens is, right, that they come to Rabbi Meir and they say, look what happened to us, says, we lost our shirt over here. We lost our shirt. So Rabbi Meir tells them, he says, that's your fault. You blame it on yourself. Why? Because you should have known by his name. This guy's not straight. Kidur tapuchot hema. Says, why didn't you pay attention to the name? So they said, we didn't know about that. Says, yeah, that was the thing, right? So they told him, they said, why didn't you tell us? Maybe whatever. So he said, you know what? He says, the truth is that I'm not so concerned about names that it's for sure it's going to be bad. There's a concern, but it's not for sure. Whatever. Anyway, the point was, right, that they got stuck now. Their money was gone. So how these rabbis are, right? They're very clever, so they know how to get their money back. So they devise a plan to get the money back. Can you imagine? So what did they do? Right? So they took this guy who denied, this whole thing. They took him to the bar, to drink a little bit, have some drinks, some cocktails. They said, let's go drink, we'll hang around with you for a little while. I said, oh, no problem, no problem. When it comes to money, I don't have your money, but if you want to buy me a drink, I'll go with you. So they took him to the bar, right? They started to drink, and all of a sudden this guy's like getting tipsy, he starts to say all kinds of things. So it happens like this, right? That, but he didn't reveal anything. They couldn't get him to reveal any substantial something, By the way, this is one of the tricks. They say that the gematria of the word yain, wine, right? When you drink wine, the numerical value is 70, right? Which is also the numerical value of the word sod, secrets. So what does that mean? The Chazal say, right? When the wine goes in, the secrets come out. This is an old Georgian trick, they say, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? The Georgians, they know. Right, exactly. If you want to get secrets out of somebody, get him to drink a little bit. You know what I mean? He'll tell you everything. So thank you. So what happened was, right, that they couldn't get it out of him. So, but they noticed one thing, These rabbis were very clever. So what did they notice? What they noticed? They noticed that the guy, he had a mustache, this guy, So on his mustache, there was some lentils there, left over from his meal. They saw a little trace of lentils there. So they said, oh man, the probably guy had lentils for dinner. So they did. Meanwhile, while this guy was drunk, close it. It's a loud noise. They say, right, whatever you want. They say when this guy was drunk. Meanwhile, they went to his wife, right? Okay? Women are easier to get secrets out of them. They like to talk. That's also another trick, right? So they went to his wife, and they said, miss, excuse us, but we gave a deposit to your husband. And he told us to come to you and get it back. So he says, yeah, well, he says, I don't remember such a thing like that. That he told me that to give you back the money. So he says, you know what? If you don't believe us, we'll tell you. He gave us a sign. You know. So he says, what sign? She says, what sign are you talking about? So he says, you know that he had lentils for dinner. That was a sign. So she said, oh yeah, that's true. He says, yeah, that's true. You know what? I'll go. So she goes into the safe and gives them their money. You know, just, you're right. You're good people. God bless you. You know, take your money, go. You know, whatever. So they say this guy was such a rasha, this kidur. You know, once he comes home, he tells, he looks in the safe, the money's gone. Tells his wife, he says, what happened? What happened here? So he says, oh, they came to take their money. Those nice rabbis with the big beards. You know, they came to take their money. So he says, you gave them the money back. He says, what did you do? You're crazy. That was my treasure. That was my profit. So you know what he did, this rasha? He went and he killed his wife. He murdered her.
Right.
You know, he murdered his wife. He got so angry at her, he murdered her. This is what happened.
Real.
You understand? For money, they do everything. You understand? That's the way it is. They say the same thing about Korach. You understand that the reason why he rebelled was also because the name caused him. They gave him a bad name. They say, be careful about what kind of name you give to your son, to your children. Don't give them bad names. Now in Israel, there's like a fad like this. They like to give bad names to their children. You know, they call them Nimrod and Esav and all kinds of things. So the rabbis warn, people, don't call your children these kinds of names. You're going to cause him to have a bad character, God forbid. You never know what's going to be by that person. Don't ever give a good Jew a bad name. Give him something good. Give him a nice name, nice Jewish name from the Bible, from the Talmud, from something like that. Don't give him one of these modern, newfangled names, that stylish, all kinds of things like this. We don't want that. Give him a nice biblical name, whatever. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, David, right? Shlomo. Give him a nice name. What kind of name is that? That's the idea. So they say, by the way, the same thing happened also to another Jew, that his downfall was caused by the fact that he was given a bad name. You know who that was? We're talking about Shaul, right? But Shaul, he had a disaster. His life was a disaster. He died in a tragic way. It's a whole story there. We're not going to get into that story now, right, about Shaul, how he died. But the point is, right, that they say what caused his downfall, Shaul, that he did such a sin like that, the sins that he did, and he was a big tzaddik, Shaul. He was a big chacham. So what caused him? Because of his name, they say. So why is that? Because this name was also from one of the kings of Edom, of the kings of Esav. Shaul was also one of the names. So they say this is what caused him to also have his downfall. So we see from there, right, another example, that the name causes, right, a change in a person's character. It alters the character. It effectuates the character. And so a person has to be careful about that. Don't give your children the wrong kind of name, which has the wrong kind of connotation, and so forth and so on. Okay, good, nice. So now let's go on, right, with this whole thing about Korach. So they say Korach, right, he pulled some tricks. He was a very good orator, this guy. So what he was able to do was, the people who were in his proximity, he started to speak to them about this, about the rebellion. To mess with their head. Tell them, this is unfair. He appointed only his family, his whole Jamat, his family there has all the good jobs. We're left out. What kind of thing is this? This is not fair. He's the king, his brother is the Kohen Gadol. All in the family. Everything is in the family. What kind of business is this? What is this, a family business? That's what they say about Trump, right? He appointed his son-in-law, his daughter, this and that, all kinds of things like that. They always complain about that when you appoint your family. So the same thing was over here. Again, right, he was ignoring the fact that this was all Bina Shemaim, these appointments. No, nobody is appointed if in Bina Shemaim they don't appoint that person. They say, right, that every appointment that there is in this world is also appointed by Shemaim. If he wasn't appointed by Shemaim, he cannot get appointed. They say even the smallest appointment, whatever it may be, right? Let's say a person who waters the lawn, right? Let's say he has a job to water the lawn in the stadium. I don't know, God knows where they play it over there, football, whatever, Even that, they say, right, is from Shemaim. That he got that job, even such an insignificant appointment like that, it was also been a Shemaim. So Korach, what are you coming and telling us now, right? That you wanna now uproot, right, all these appointments from Shemaim. This was the mistake that he made. Right? They say he was actually Korach. He was a very wise man. He was a smart man. He was not a foolish man. But the problem was, right, he had this hunger for power that, right, was really irrational. So they say, right, that now he comes to Moshe Rabbeinu, and as we said, right, he was able to convince the people who were in his proximity. We learn from here, by the way, that this is what caused the downfall of that whole group of Korach, his friends, right? The ones who participated with him in the rebellion. What was that? That the fact that they were his neighbors. This is what caused the downfall, So Chazal learned from there, by the way, that a person should watch out to live, not to live to good, bad neighbors, next to bad neighbors. They say it effectuates you, it influences you. So don't live by people who are wicked, If you try to live in a neighborhood where there's good people there, the religious people, God-fearing people, things like this. Always, a person, by the way, should try to do that. To live in a religious neighborhood, more God-fearing place. Because if you live in a place where there's wicked people, sinners, they have no regard for the Torah, no nothing, zero regard. That also influences you. That's why they say, right? There's a saying like that in the Chazal. They say, "Oy leRasha, oy leShcheno." What does that mean? Woe is to the wicked, and also woe is to their neighbor. Right? That's the idea. So they say, right? Stay away from a bad neighbor. If you have a bad neighbor, you can't move out from there. Right? Let's say you cannot move out for technical reasons, whatever it is. At least don't invite him over to your house and hang around with him. This kind of thing. Bad friends have a bad influence. That's the way it is. When you hang around with losers, you also become a loser. That's the way it is. They say, right, that if you want to know a person's character, look at his friends, the people he hangs around with. If he hangs around with bad people, he's also a bad person. That's the way it is. Take a look at his colleagues. Look at them, who he hangs around with. He's just like them. That's why he hangs around with them. That's the way it is, right? There's a saying like this in Gemara, right? Lo lechinam halach zarzir le'orev ki minohu. Right? What does that mean? That there's two types of birds, right, which look to get like close to each other. They look similar. One is the raven, and one is the zarzir, which is probably like the crow or something like that. They look very similar. They say that the zarzir, the crow, hangs around with the raven. You know why? Because they're really considered to be one species. Even though they're a little bit different, two different subspecies, but since they're the same ilk, both of them, so that's why they hang around together. So they say from there, you see, right, that a person who hangs around with certain people, you see that he's also like them. That's the idea, It's a giveaway. So if a person doesn't know a person's character, what should he do? See who he hangs around with. He's just like them. That's the idea. So here also, what happened was that Korach was encamped, right? How was the encampment going on in the desert? There was four sides. The Mishkan was in the middle, right? The temple, the tabernacle, was in the middle of the camp. There was four sides around, right? On the east side was Moshe Rabbeinu, Aharon, and Shevet Yehuda, Zebulun, and Issachar. They say that all these tribes became Talmidei Chachamim. You know why? Since they were close to Moshe Rabbeinu and Aharon, you know how it is, right? These people are always talking about Divrei Torah, so all you hear is Torah all day, So that influence, it rubs off on you. That's the way it is. It's like you can't control it. So that's why they became all Bnei Torah. They became all scholars. These people, these tribes, until this day, by the way, they say, right? These are always scholarly tribes, because that what they inculcated into their young youth at that time, to their tribe, until this day it stays the same way. So what happened was, right, that Korach was not on that side of the temple, right? He was on the south side. And over there was the sons of Reuven. There was a tribe of Reuven, right, and Shimon, and therefore the Reuven was the main, people who went with Korach. They were the main, guys who partnered up with Korach and went with him. And these actually, they say, right, that these people were also big chachamim. Some of these people from the tribe of Reuven, they were also big scholars, but because Korach was, a sharp guy, and he was a sharp tongue he was able to convince them to go with him. He convinced them that his argument was right. Even though these people were actually chachamim themselves, they were rabbis themselves. But nevertheless, you know how it is, right? Then one bad person comes, he tries to poison you. He can, if he knows how to do it, he can poison, gagacheros, he can mess with your head until he changes you, brainwashes you. That's the way it is. So that's exactly what happened. He managed to brainwash these people because he was in their proximity. Right? So they say, right from here, you see the proximity is a very, very important element over there as well. Also, another moral lesson, right, that they draw from this parsha, which is, right, having to do with your wife, right? They say that, we discussed this before in the earlier lectures, they say that a man is very much effectuated by his wife. If he has a good wife, he'll also become good. If he has a bad wife, bad character, so she's gonna mess him up too, Because you know how it is, right? Women have to know how to program their husbands, They know how to press all the buttons. Tuk, 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 right? They know how to press the buttons on the husband, and therefore, right, if she's a righteous woman, the husband will also become righteous. If she's a wicked woman, the husband will also become wicked. That's the way it is, They say this is exactly what happened over here. Like what happened? That they say that there was a few characters that went with Korach, right? Who were they? There was Datan ve'Aviram, and there was On ben Pelet. These were the main, right, conspirators, right? Give him a kick. give him a kick, David. Right? So he says, give. What happened was these were the main conspirators that went with him. Co-conspirators, right? So what happened was that Korach, they say, what messed him up really badly? As we said, right, one of the things was his name. Now we also have another point, another angle, right, which was his wife. His wife was also another catalyzer, right, in the wrong direction. So what she did to him was like this, right, gachela, She told him all kinds of things to make him, heated up. She heated him up with anger by the things that she said. What did she tell him? She said, it says, I want to tell you something. Moshe Rabbeinu, this guy, he may be your relative, but let's face it, he made like a monkey out of you. You look like a monkey the way you behaved with him. What was she referring to? What she was referring to, right, was that there was a mitzvah in the Torah that the Levites had to shave their whole body. Can you imagine? Shaving every part of your body with a razor, including the head, everything. Like a total baldy, Become 100% bald on your whole body. So this was one of the mitzvot that they had to do. In order to initiate the Levim, they had to shave their whole body. So who did this, right? Moshe and Aaron were the ones who were in charge of this whole thing, right? So they were the ones who were shaving them, and then they had to also, Aaron had to take the Levim, each one, lift him up like this, with his hands. He was a very strong guy, right? Guy was a powerhouse. Can you imagine? He had to do this with 23,000 Levim in one day, to wave them like this. Can you imagine? One after the other. 20,000 people like this, You got to be a strong guy to do that, So this was like something miraculous. So, can you imagine this humiliation, right? That's what she said, this humiliation. He made a monkey out of you. First, he makes you shave like a monkey, and then to wave you around like a monkey like this. Oh, nice pet you are, Ah, look what he did to you, Now you look like a fool. You look like a clown. What a disgrace what he did to you. Your relative. Ah, you call him your relative. This is what a relative does. This is what your family member does. Something like this. So what happened was, right, that Korach was incensed by this. And this is one of the things that caused him also to rebel. You know what I mean? They say, on the other hand, right, there was one of them who was supposed to go with them also, who was On ben Pelet, one of the conspirators, right? The conspiracy was also, he was inside. So they say, right, he in the end wound up not going. Right? Why is that? Because of his wife as well. So what happened? His wife was a righteous lady, so she saved him. The wives know they know how to do these things, right? So what happened was that they know how to pull these maneuvers, these wives. So you know what he did, right? He made that day that they were supposed to do the rebellion. What happened was that she got him to drink a little bit, some wine. He dozed off, Chaydzina. Oh, Chaydzina, So what happened was like this, right? We're hearing something else, David. We're hearing something else. So what happens like this, right? That she gets him to doze off. So what she does is, right, to make sure that they don't come to call him, Dawzachon, come with us, let's go, Chamodi, no. So what she did was, in order to prevent that, right, she sat in front of the tent where they were living, and she uncovered her hair, So in those days, when a woman's hair was uncovered, like you don't even go closer. They were so shy about that. In those days, people, they would see a married woman with uncovered hair, they wouldn't even approach her. It was disgrace, considered to be like a erva, something off limits. So they were coming there, to try to call him, Modi, let's go, Tawidet, Gaviyarot, Gavigulaot. So she went, but they saw her like this, they didn't want to even approach. They were too afraid to approach over there. So she was sitting there like this, waiting, until everything transpired. The whole story was over, That's it. So that's how she saved. She saved his life, because of that. Understand? So we see, right, again, that one of the big influences that a person has is his wife. Right? They say, right, from here you learn what Shlomo Melech said, right? Sheker achen vehevel layofi, isha yirat Hashem hitit halal. That's what's written in the Mishlei, in the Eshet Chayil, that we read on Shabbat. What does that mean? That beauty and grace is all false and vanity. You know? So what's really the praise of the woman? God, fear of God. You know, if she's a God-fearing woman, she's going to be praised. But if you have a woman who has just good looks, you know, nice looking, but she's a foolish woman, you know, tembelit, you know, like ding dong lady, you know these ding dong. She's very good looking, but in her brain she's ding dong, nothing in there, you know, empty. So a woman like that is vain, it's worthless. Just good looks, you know, without a quality, good mind, you know, good soul, not worth nothing. A woman like that, right? There's also another saying that the Chazal say about that, right? What does that compare to? A beautiful woman, right, who has no brains and no fear of God, is considered to be like a swine, right, who has a pig, who has a golden ring, 24 karat in his nose, right? That's what it is, you know. That golden 24 karat ring is her beauty, but she's a swine. You understand? Her nature is like a swine. You know, she's a bad lady. You know, not kosher. She's not kosher. This is the idea. So we see from there, right, that the wife is one of the most important influences. But I want to also, right, to end up the story, you always have to bring something from the Zohar Kadosh, you know, some Kabbalah, it's a little bit Kabbalistic, something Kabbalistic, right? So what does the Zohar Kadosh say about the story of Korach? Something interesting, right? What it says is that there is something deep over here also with the rebellion of Korach, according to the spiritual nature, you know, of things. We already mentioned in the earlier lectures, right, that there's a difference between the Kohanim and the Levim, even though they come from the same family, right? There was some, by the way, some nice lady, you know, who had sent me some messages recently, and what she said was, right, that they found that there's a gene for the Kohanim. There's a special gene, whatever, you know. In other words, not every, but whatever, many Kohanic families that are existent, they check their genes and they seem to have some kind of like a special gene, whatever. But the truth is, you know, I told her, I said, excuse me, but this is not accurate. You know why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron were from the same family. They had the same genes. You know, Moshe was not a Kohen and Aaron was a Kohen. There's no way to tell who was a Kohen and not from the fact that they come from a certain family.
Isn't it Hashem just said, now you're a Kohen and he became a Kohen?
That's it. So what does that mean, right? But they have the same genes, you know? You know what I mean? Also, another example of that is, by the way, like this, right? I'll give you another example. Let's say you have a father, right? He's a Kohen. It could be that children are not going to be Kohanim, right? As we said, if he married a divorced woman, one example, right? Or if he married a Zonah, his children will not be Kohanim. But they have the same genes as him. You know? So you see from there, right, that detecting a Kohen by genes is a false premise, right? It's a non-starter, really, the truth is, you know? It's ridiculous. I mean, no rabbi, serious rabbi will tell you that you can make somebody into Kohen by, you know, seeing his genes, you know, whatever. It's not really. This is just trivia, you know? It's a trivial talk. Light conversation, you know what I mean? Nothing, right, exactly. You know, there's no way to do that. So, anyway, right, coming back to what we said. We mentioned from the Zohar Kadosh that the main difference, right, genetics is one thing, right? We don't care about that. Genetics is not our business, right? What we said was that there is one difference between the Kohanim and the Levim. Why are the Kohanim considered to be greater than Levim? Kohen is number one, Levi is number two, you know, step lower. So we said the reason is because the Kohen is din. The Kohen is chesed, it's kindness, right? The quality of the Kohanim is kindness. The quality of the Levim is dinim, right? Is judgment, right? So therefore, Kohen is considered to be superior. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants this world, that the highest influence in this world should be kindness, not judgment. You know why? Since even though we need both elements in the world for it to exist, without the judgment, the world cannot exist. It becomes like tol vavo, you know? Total anarchy, total chaos. It has to be judgment in the world. There's no way for the world to exist without that. But if it was only judgment, and there was no kindness, also cannot exist in the world. Why is that? Because if a person was only judged by judgment, for doing one sin, he'd have to die right away. Can you imagine? Nobody would be able to live like that. Who can live? You know? So therefore, we need that kindness, loving kindness, to be coupled with the judgment together. Otherwise, the world cannot exist also. Understand? But the question is like this, right? When it comes to the superiority, In other words, which quality is like the dominant quality? So it says Kadosh, dominant quality has to be kindness, not judgment. This is the way Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to run the world. He doesn't want to run it the other way. And there's a big difference, by the way, regarding the way how you run. Because as we said, right, if the dominant quality is judgment, you know what that means? That means that the world is going to be a very cruel place. It's going to be so cruel you won't even want to live. You know, people can commit suicide like that. How can you live like that when such a cruel world? It's cruel enough as it is. You know what I mean? We have a hard time dealing with the reality of today. You know, the way it is. All the more so, it would be even more cruel if the world was only dependent on judgment. You know, and that was not only dependent on judgment, but that was the dominant quality. So therefore, right, this is the reason why Korach's rebellion was such a dangerous thing. You know why? Because Korach was saying, listen, you know, we should be the Kohanim. The Levim should be the Kohanim. We're the ones who should be serving in the Beit HaMikdash to bring the incense. So this was a very dangerous thing. You know why? Because what he was actually saying, right, according to Kabbalistic thought, what he was saying is that let the judgment be stronger than the kindness. And this was what Kadosh Baruch Hu said, don't you come close, don't even try. Because I don't want the world to run this way. You know? And this is why Moshe Rabbeinu gave them like each one like a little some incense to try to bring offer to Hashem. He says, you know what? He says, I'm not going to get involved. Bring the incense, offer to Hashem. Let's see what he does to you, you know? Let's see if he accepts it or he doesn't accept it, right? So what did he do? Kadosh Baruch Hu killed them. Right? Destroyed them. Why is that? Because you want to what? You want to run the world that the judgment should be more dominant than the kindness. I don't want such a world like that. I don't want such a world like that. That's too cruel.
That's why the mouse was running after them to eat them up. The mouse of the earth.
Yeah, that's what happened in the end, right? That's exactly what happened in the end, right? That's what happened. It opened up, you know, they swallowed them, right? By the way, it swallowed them alive. They didn't really die, right? You know that, right? They didn't die. They went to gain them alive, you know? They say, the truth is, Chazal say in the Zohar Kadosh, they say that they're gonna when Mashiach comes, they're gonna be retrieved from there. In other words, they have a certain amount of punishment that they're gonna get, but in the end, they're gonna be saved. So what does that mean? They have a chelik in Olam Haba, the Korach and his friends, right? If you see, by the way, look in the Gemara, Masechet Sanhedrin, it lists over there several people who don't have a portion of the world to come. Korach is not one of them. Who are they? It says over there, right? Gehazi, Bil'am, right? Bil'am, Achitofel, and Doeg Adomi. These four people have no portion of the world to come. That's what it says. Gehazi was we spoke about him before, right? The stories with Elisha. He was the servant of Elisha Navi. He was the one who pulled that trick, right, to take the money of this general. Right? I don't know if you were here if we talked about this. Okay. Anyway, he was the Gabai of this Elisha, right? That's what he was, right? Then we have, right, Achitofel. You know Bilam who he was, right? I don't have to tell you. Bilam and Doeg Adomi, right? Doeg Adomi and Achitofel. These were the ones who rebelled against David HaMelech, right? They were the ones who tried to, you know. You understand? We talked about that before. So they say, right, these four don't have a portion of the world to come. Right? I'm sorry?
Balak?
Bilam, not Balak. Bilam.
Balak?
But it doesn't say Balak. Doesn't say Balak. Interesting, right? So, interesting thing. Right, by the way, three of them are Jews, and one of them is a Goy, right? Bilam was a Goy, he was not Jewish. He converted, they say, it's according to some opinions, he converted. He was a convert, whatever. Anyway, he was Erev Rav, you know, whatever. But the point is like this, right, that Korach is not one of them. So we see from there, right, Korach has a portion of the world to come. It's supported by this thing. Even though he rebelled, he did something very, very bad, but in the end, he will be, right, saved and, he has salvation in the world to come. Now, interesting thing is like this, right, that the truth is that if you look in the Midrash, there's also another opinion regarding this. He brings another opinion there. He says, you know what? These three, Achitofel and Doeg Adomi, and also Gehazi, they have a portion of the world to come. There's another opinion there brought down. So the question is, what's this argument? You know, what one says yes, one says no. Who's right? Who's wrong? They're both right. Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chaim. They're all both words of God. So the question is, how does that work? Right? How do they both come out to be good? So you know what the answer is? The answer is that the truth is that it has to do with reincarnation. What does that mean? That lifetime that they lived, they don't deserve Olam Haba. But Kadosh Baruch Hu brings them back in Gilgul, right? And then He lets them to have another. So therefore, what that opinion means is that even though in that lifetime, whatever they did then, they don't deserve Olam Haba. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in His great mercies, brings them back in reincarnation and fixes them up until they have a portion in the world to come. So therefore, right, the truth is they also mention kings that don't have a portion in the world to come. And one of them was Yerovam ben Nevat. Right? Yerovam ben Nevat. Yerovam ben Nevat doesn't have a portion in the world to come, but also there's another opinion, as it says over there, also that it does. So the question is why? So again, Yerovam ben Nevat is going to come back in the Gilgul, right? They say actually, it says in Zohar Kadosh, the commentaries over there, that he's Mashiach ben Yosef. So he's going to come back as Mashiach ben Yosef, picks up his sins, whatever he did, he's going to make a tikkun. So this is the reason why they have an argument about these people. One is talking about that person that was alive at that time. The other one is talking about whoever's going to come later as a Gilgul, as a reincarnation. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has great mercies on these people. You understand? The great mercies of Hashem is, even though they did live that life that they lived over there was so bad, they have no part. He still tries to fix them. He still tries to bring them back again and again and again until he has a portion of the world to come. This is the idea, But when it comes to Bilam, they all agree. No portion of the world to come. Right? Yeah, you know why? Because even though Kadosh Baruch Hu did bring him back as a Gilgul, but he wasn't able to fix him anyway. Right? They say he did come back as a Jew. He came back. Right? We talked about that before in our former lectures, in our earlier lectures. But Kadosh Baruch Hu wasn't able to fix him up. So therefore, the sages say that Bilam is really the only one who has no portion in the world to come over there. Even as a Gilgul, he has no portion in the world. He was so corrupted. There's nothing to fix over there. There's no way to fix this guy. There's no way to fix him up. This is the idea. Anyway, Rabbi, the bottom line is like this, right? That the truth is that what Moshe Rabbeinu, right, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was worried about when it comes to rebellion of Korach was that to make the dominant trait in this world a din, judgment, and it should be more dominant than the kindness, that could destroy the world. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, said, this is a very dangerous rebellion we're talking about over here. This is not just a rebellion about political power, who's going to be president, who's going to be vice president. Who cares about that? You're going to destroy my world by making what? The dinim stronger than the kindness? I don't want a world like that. We'll finish off with this, right? It says in the Zohar Kadosh also something like that, amazing about that. It says, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that the kindness should be dominant in the world over the judgment. This is exactly why when there's an argument between two Chachamim, right? In the Talmud, we have arguments, right? In the Rishonim, Achronim, there's always arguments, right? So it says in the Zohar Kadosh, we should always worry. We should see to it, in other words, worry about it. That the halacha should be like the lenient opinion. Why is that? Because this is the opinion of the kindness. We want more tolerance in the world. Be tolerant, be forgiving. Kindness. That's what we want. So therefore, right, to make this quality dominant, kindness, always we should try to see to it that the lenient opinion is the halacha. This is what we want. And this is why halacha is like Bet Hillel, not like Bet Shammai, right? Always, right? Every generation, we want the halacha to be like the lenient opinion. That's what it says in the Zohar Kadosh. Something amazing, right? Because we want the kindness to dominate the judgment. It says in Ramchal HaKadosh, one of the great Mekubalim, he says that how does that work in the world, right? You have this, kindness and din working together. In other words, we said there's din. So if there's din, everything is judgment, and the judgment cannot be foregone. It can never be foregone altogether, right? It says, but regarding that in the Gemara, right? Whoever thinks the judgment is going to be foregone, they're going to forego him. You know what I mean? Judgment always has to be served, no matter what. But so then, where does the kindness come in? Right? This is the question. You know what I mean? Easier judgment, right? The truth is, the judgment has to be done. You know what I mean? Easier. So it can't be really easier in a sense like that. But you have to explain what that means, right? You know what I mean? It says the Ramchal HaKadosh, Moshe Chaim Bruzato, one of the great Mekubalim. He says that the kindness is characterized by this, that a person should get all the din together in one shot, one big shot, one big punch, knockout punch, TKO, that's it, finish him off. So where does the kindness come in? The kindness comes in that they give it to you in installments, They give you everything, but they give you little by little, so you can take it, It shouldn't destroy you altogether, God forbid, destroy a person altogether. They give it to installments, Okay, this month's payment, right? January, February. Did you pay your installment? Right, they break it up into installments. That's the idea, you understand? So the kindness is two things. Says Ramchal HaKadosh. One is they give you installments, so this way it can allow you to live. Otherwise, you'll be overwhelmed by that. You couldn't survive it. God forbid, That's one thing. The other one is that the other quality of kindness, where it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu waits for a person to do tshuva. He has a lot of patience. Really, right, if he did a sin, he should punish him right away. But the kindness comes in here, that he says, you know what, I'm going to wait for you. I got all the time in the world. I'm not in a hurry, I'm not affected by age. I don't get wrinkled. Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't get wrinkled when he gets older. Time doesn't affect him. So he says, you know what, I have all the time in the world. I'll wait for you. We'll wait till you're 65, 55, 45, whatever it is, 20, 30, 40. We have all the time in the world. Come on.
75.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Oh, you didn't do it this lifetime? Right? We'll give you another try, Next lifetime. I have all the time in the world. It's all up to you, So this is also loving kindness. What does that mean? That he doesn't punish a person right away with wrath, burning wrath. You know how it is, right? When a person gets angry, that moment is the most dangerous time. You know what I mean? Once he relaxes, he subsides, assuages his anger, so then, you can tolerate him already. But that moment of wrath, so you know what Kadosh Baruch Hu says? I'm not going to punish you when I'm angry. I'll wait for you, Erech HaPayim, that's what we call it, right? Erech HaPayim. I'll wait. I'll have years. Don't worry. I'll wait for you, Give you installments, number one. Number two, also, I'll give you a delay, late payment, late payment plan. You buy now and you pay next year. Right? That's the idea, what I mean? This is the idea. So this is what Kadosh Baruch Hu saved us from, from the rebellion of Korach. Because the rebellion of Korach was going to make this world into something intolerable, right? Dominated by judgment. We don't want that. We want that it should be dominated by loving kindness. You understand? So Kadosh Baruch Hu had loving kindness in all of us, Bezat Hashem. Until Mashiach, we see the Mashiach ben David. Amen. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Rabbi. When is it right?